Hi, my name is Ellie Brocklehurst, and with me today is my beautiful friend and co-host Beck Nadalo, and together we are full-timers. As two working mums with small children and hubbies in tow, we've come to the realisation that the best way to define us and a lot of people out there is that we're full-time. Full-time mums, full-time wives, full-time employees, friends and daughters. And with all that full-time comes with it a lot of weight, obstacles and constraints, but also a lot of great opportunities. We've been searching for somewhere to validate our feelings about what it takes to be a woman in today's world. So rather than continue that search, we thought, let's start it. Welcome to the Full-Timers Club.
Hi, welcome to the Full-Timers Club. I'm Beck.
I'm Ellie.
I have to apologise in advance. I have a really, really bad ulcer in my mouth that has come from biting the inside of my cheek too many times. And now that it's like I've bitten it so many times, it's so big that I can't help.
Can you show?
Not. Can you see it?
No. I can't see the outside of it.
I'm not showing you the inside.
It looks swollen.
Does my face look swollen?
Yeah, well, now you point it out. Is it just, but also I can't help but look at it.
Yeah. So I might like stumble my words a few times today.
That's okay.
How are you doing, Ellie?
I'm okay.
You're in the midst of the move, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. Moves are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Ellie's eyes are welling up. I mean, I feel like this is probably a good conversation to have today. We are having a conversation or our next episode will actually be with a woman called Beta, who is an incredible therapist, psychologist and life coach. And we thought in advance of having that conversation with her, we'd do an episode around our experiences with therapy and life coaching in general.
Yeah.
And it's probably, it's funny. It's like you've come into this episode feeling a little fragile.
Yeah.
I've come into this episode feeling like pretty strong and good.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing that I found with therapy is like some days you go into the sessions going, actually, I don't really need to talk about anything today because I feel really good. And then other days you're like, I can't wait for my appointment because I feel like I'm falling apart.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I already Googled it this morning because for context, like really busy period of time for work, which often happens post Chinese New Year. Like it's always that kind of, everyone then wants everything. We're moving house. We're about to go on a ski holiday. I go from the ski holiday to a work commitment in Korea. Like, so there's a lot. There just feels like there's quite a lot. And it just, I just got into the office this morning and I just felt like really overwhelmed. Like I got that little anxiety flutter in my heart that I've texted you about before, where I just almost go like, there's just too much. There's just too much. And I don't really know how to, it goes back to what we said the other week about prioritizing your time. Yeah. But I was thinking this week about how I don't think it's very healthy that I'm always like looking for a therapist when I'm like this.
Yes.
But then never going back when I'm not.
Yeah.
Like I always do this. I always go when I'm like, feel like I'm falling apart, feel like I'm not coping with everything. I go see someone, I have my big rant, she gives me some skills, and then I never kind of go back to kind of then go back through it and see if I've recovered. And I think that's my problem with therapy.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at being an active participant outside of when I'm like falling apart.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Such a good point. And I think this is probably one of the, I don't know, misconceptions with therapy or life coaching. And like we'll ask Beta about the difference between what is a life coach and what is a therapist, because to be honest, I'm not even clear. But for me, life coaching, and she is someone I have seen, feels more proactive. Like it's something you do not just when shit's hit the fan or you're in a time of crisis or something like that. But for me, it's been more around like self-growth, self-awareness, kind of preservation. And so when I see her, like there are days when I see her and I'm not falling apart and I'm like, okay, these are the things I want to work on and I'm in a more proactive mindset. Whereas I think you're so right. And it'd be a great question for her, which is like, when do people schedule the appointments? Is it when they're falling apart? And then it's like, they then don't continue with it and maybe the benefits of it aren't fully realised.
Do you think it's also because when I think of life coach, so when I think of therapy, I think of like, I'm not coping.
Yeah.
I need some coping mechanisms. I'm falling apart for all the reasons that you think you might need some help. When I think of life coach, I think of like career progression. Like in my mind, is that because whenever I've heard people talk about it, it's always been like I'm pivoting away from what I've done professionally or I want to strive for something better. So it is actually a proactive association.
Yeah, I think the word progression is a really key one. Because maybe that, and again, great question for Beta.
Yeah.
I think when I first saw her, I was definitely in like a bit of a spiral, and that's why I reached out to her in the first place. And I loved her energy and that she was kind of similar age, similar profile, and then just continued to see her. But I probably amp up at like appointments when I'm feeling a bit down or whatever it is. But she's like, I think most life coaches are also qualified therapists or psychologists. And again, I'm not 100% on the difference between therapist, psychologist,
I know this
life
one,
coach.
Well, psychiatrist is the one that can
give you drugs.
Medicate. Yeah, medicate. And then,
So you've obviously had some experience with a therapist or therapy.
I have. Yeah, I have had a few instances. One when I was super young. I would have been like 22 or 23. And I was really lost with university. I was doing a course that just, quite frankly, was a bit of a nothing degree. I had no focus. I had no path that I'd set for myself. And I actually was really low. And so I took myself off to a GP and they did this like depression test to kind of check for certain markers to see if, you've got any depressive qualities. And I didn't go to it being like, I think I'm depressed, but I just was like, something is the chemical makeup of my system feels off. Anyway, and so after that, which was like a series of, I don't know, maybe like 20 questions, she was like, you've got indicators that you are in quite a depressive state right now. It doesn't show that you are depressed or you need medication, but just that you are showing factors that you need to address. And so she was like, look, I think where you are right now requires someone more professional to actually handle what you can do from this. And so she sent me off to this woman in Sydney who I actually really loved. Like someone once said this to me, it's like dating. You've really got to find the right therapist because you've got to click with them. Anyway, I saw her and it was almost so confronting that I didn't know if I wanted to go back, because what she made me realize is that a lot of the insecurities I was feeling at that time were linked to something else that I didn't necessarily think was linked to. And I'm pretty sure my dad is aware of this, but my dad is the person that I want to make most proud in this world. Like if anything ever happens to me professionally, it's like him and Will, it's almost like, who do I call first? Just because I'm always looking for both of their approval, I guess. And because I was kind of not doing so well at uni, and my dad is a really big advocate for academic study, what she kind of indicated was that she's like, I think you're spiraling because you're feeling like you're disappointing your dad. And I just was like, I almost feel like choked up talking about it now. Like it was such something I didn't want to face, because that's exactly what it was. Yeah. And anyway, I saw her for a few sessions afterwards, and she was just really good at, as I said, I think getting to the root cause. Yeah. Whereas sometimes when you don't do therapy or you don't talk to someone who is an expert in this, you're just either talking to a brick wall, or you're talking to your own psyche if you're talking to your friends, or you're not talking to someone who gets to the root cause. And so to this day, even another therapist I saw, the thing I love the most about therapy is you're getting to the root cause, not just the consequences of the actions. Yep. It's all about distilling it down into the thing that makes you anxious.
And I think I totally agree with that. And it's such an important thing. It's like you can talk to your friends and rant to your friends, but as you say, like either most of the time they just want to make you feel better. So they're going to tell you the things that make you feel better, or they won't want to hurt your feelings, so they're not going to tell you the truth. Or you might be chatting to them and they're also thinking about what are they going to feed the kids for dinner and blah, 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 blah. Or, I have a similar situation, and then it becomes like a conversation rather than a outlet. Yep. And I think that's the thing that I'm doing exactly what I just said. I found so valuable with therapy is that you are speaking to someone who just has your best interests at heart, and they are holding a mirror up to yourself. They're asking you the questions that force you to go deeper and deeper. And often they're not, I don't feel they do anything like, it's not like rocket science, but they're just asking the right questions to probe further and further, so that then you almost come to your own answers or solutions.
I think because they don't come necessarily with the context or the baggage.
Or bias,
or bias, exactly. Yeah. Actually, there was one I saw in Singapore that I stopped seeing because I felt like she was too biased for me.
Oh, interesting.
Like the opinions she gave were almost like it was too harsh on the other side, that I actually didn't like it, because then I felt it made me more like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get into the specifics, but I just felt like I didn't want this to be an emotional basking session on what I was feeling. I wanted it to be exactly what you said, which is a mirror to myself to make me rethink or reframe what I was feeling. Yeah. It just felt like she was validating it.
Oh, interesting.
Which is maybe not a bad thing, but at that point in time I was like, I don't need that.
Yeah, you're like, my friends do that enough.
Yeah, I need someone to give me actual advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I ever made an appointment with Beta. It was COVID times. I was working like the most insane hours. We were trying to get pregnant and it wasn't happening, and so we did these tests and my cortisol was so high it was prohibiting ovulation because I was just so stressed out. And so I went to see her because I was like, I'm stuck and I don't need a shoulder to cry on. Like, I don't need you to give me emotional support. I need tactics and proper tangible things I can do to help me manage this level of stress and stuff like that. And I was just spiraling, you know, like the 3 a.m. wake ups and all that kind of thing. And that's what I've loved so much about therapy, that ability to give you such an objective, pragmatic, solution-focused point of view.
Do you have different therapists or life coaches for different things, or is she all in one?
She's an all-in-one. I've only ever seen her before. I've never seen anyone else.
Oh, so this is your only experience? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really feel the need to.
There was a part of me, so this morning when I was thinking about it, there was a part of me that was like, I need help understanding what I'm feeling on many layers, like not just family dynamic or not just home related or not just work, like this, so, and not just work related. It's like I almost need somebody for each. This goes back to, I think we talked about this the other episode, I have this really weird thing where I have to like compartmentalize. I need things to happen for specific parts of my life. And I was almost thinking, I was like, I need to find somebody who can help me navigate it all, which feels complex.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you look up like psychologists or you look up life coaches, they're usually family and counselling or children and behaviour or there's never like a, hey, I'm an all-in-one rounder.
Talk to me about everything. You need the GP version of a...
Exactly.
Well, I think she would play this, and that's the role she's played. I've seen her about stress, anxiety-related things. Last year I went to see, I was literally just, as she put it so eloquently, like, your world is heavy right now.
Oh, that's a good word.
And it was my personal world, the actual world, like, and I felt heavy. And so a lot of the things that she helped me with were just managing that level of load and heaviness, emotional heaviness. One thing actually that I've shared this with a few people, that is such a pragmatic thing. So I don't think I'm as bad anymore, but I used to catastrophize a lot. Because of this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and as a result, I'm going to be on the street. You know, that kind of, obviously I'm not going to be on the street, but like that kind of thinking. And a lot of the time it's completely irrational, or it used to be quite irrational. And so she used to do this thing for me, which was scheduling worry time. So imagine you wake up at 3 a.m. and you've started worrying about something. It's like her advice was, write it down, and tomorrow at 5 p.m. every day, you're allowed 10 minutes to sit there and go through all of your worries and worry about them as much and as intensely as you want. But when you have those moments outside of that time, just write it down and think, I'm allowed to worry about this later. So it's like scheduling worry time.
How do you do that with something? I can see that, again, maybe because I'm breaking my life apart, but by home related things. I can't see how I could do that with work.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would depend on the kind of things you're worrying about. Like if it's a presentation tomorrow, that's probably not going to be...
not a good idea to worry.
I'll worry about that at 5 p.m. later, after the presentation is due.
It is a really... I think you've actually mentioned this on this podcast, actually, now that I think about it, which I actually think is such a good point. I think I don't really get the sleepless nights. I'm quite... I've never been like that. I know that you've had that before. I sometimes, if I am woken up at 3 a.m. by one of the kids, yes, I do struggle to go back to sleep. And that's just because I'm like, oh, tomorrow I need to do this and this and this. So it's less of it keeping me up and more keeping me awake if I've been woken up. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's difference of keeping awake versus keeping up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I go through patches. Like if I'm anxious about stuff, 3 a.m. is like the worst time. Mm. It's dark and quiet, and usually Andrew, who's like, you know, the world's best sleeper, is dead asleep next to me. So you feel like really alone. Even though you're physically not alone, emotionally you feel like, because you're just alone with your thoughts at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's the worst time for me. And it's often like if something's going on, I'll just get up and like walk around or go for a walk or go and sit in the living room. Like I have to do something to not sit there and think too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's deep.
I have to do a puzzle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something I learnt from my GP back in when I was 17.
Yeah.
Doing the HSC. And I actually was very restless. I couldn't sleep when I had exams and stuff. And so she told me sometimes our brain, once it like completes a task, can then switch off. So she told me to get into Sudoku. You know,
okay.
And so during the HSC, I used to have this little book of Sudokus next to my bed, and I would just finish one. And as I was unpacking my bedroom yesterday, actually, to pack for the move, there was a Sudoku book.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten that that's what I used to do.
You should try doing that again.
No, now I do.
I don't have time.
No. Now I do the New York Times ones. So New York Times has, Wordle, obviously.
Yeah.
But they've got connections.
Oh, yeah.
God, I love it.
My dad loves that game. He can't start his day until he's done his Wordle connections, and there's Wordle on steroids.
No, there's oh gosh, I should remember it. Something's wrong with S. Yeah. So there's 3 new ones.
Yeah.
And I do it every night before bed.
Okay.
And I think it's my brain's way of being like, complete these. And then if I fail and don't complete one, I just have to go back to the archive and quickly do one.
Is this why I can't go to bed when I'm like halfway through a book? Because I haven't finished it?
So this is, and I cannot tell you, to this day, it works every time. If I just complete a task.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's a self-satisfaction. Like whenever I complete the connections, I'm always like, ooh. Because they're sometimes ridiculous, those things. Like there are no connections when they say they're connections. Like they're ludicrous ones. But that's my tactic.
Interesting.
Give it a go.
So one thing that I always think about is how we should treat therapy almost the same way we treat like a gym session. That it's, like people are very quick to invest in their physical health, but not so much their mental health. So they're like, oh, therapy's very expensive. It's like, well, you spend that on the facials and probably Botox and probably gym and yoga sessions and whatever else. And yet we don't prioritize our mental health as much, and we don't see therapy, I think, or a lot of people either don't believe in it, which is completely fine, or they see it as a massive indulgence.
Yeah.
Or, like you were saying, they only see it as something that you turn to when it's like, I'm in deep shit and I really need to talk to someone because I'm falling apart.
Or in Australia, it's really hard to get into.
Is it?
This? Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the Australian government, Medicare gives you, I'm going to get this wrong, we should Google it, but I think it's like 8 sessions every year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But to get those sessions, you have to go to like a particular system, and I think that takes a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. I was listening to the Imperfects podcast. If you've ever listened to them. You haven't listened to the Imperfects?
No, I haven't.
My sister got me onto them. Okay. They're really, really, really good. It's actually an ex-radio guy, and they're 2 dads, and they talk about
amazing.
Almost a similar thing to what we talk about.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's around mental health of men and kind of navigating that. And one of the things they talked about was the fact that it is just really hard to get in.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that's something that we often talk about, that we're grateful with Singapore system. Yeah. Right? It's quite easy to see any specialist.
Yeah.
In Australia, I think it's a little more challenging.
Yeah. I guess that's if you're going through a public system.
Yeah.
In which case, then, to your point, finding someone who you click with, you have the chemistry with, is even harder.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I do think that is one of the key things, is that you click or you have chemistry with whoever you're speaking to. But I'd love to hear your point of view around, like, why people don't seek it out more often, or why we don't see it as important as maintaining our physical health. I do my Pilates sessions 3 times a week.
You've upped it to 3.
I have. Thank you very much.
2 last week.
Thank you very much. I have been so good and I'm loving it. But why we then don't schedule therapy the same way that we would our physical fitness?
I think people think therapy is a negative thing. I think people associate marriage breakdowns or depression or anxiety with therapy. I think people are scared that if you indulge in it, somehow it means that you're not doing so well.
Yeah.
That's what I've always felt like.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I often see them when that is the case. So I can understand that. And I do think society as a whole plays a part in that. But I don't know. I just think it's because it's an invisible illness. Because you don't, like when you're physically unwell, you can tell. You're sore or you're overweight or your muscles don't move so well, and it's something you can address because you can physically feel it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people are scared of what the invisible illness is or the emotional state is, and either doesn't want to confront it or doesn't think it's important.
Yeah. God, that's such a key point. I had a day, oh God, I can't even remember when it was, a little while ago, where just one of those days where I felt like I was on the verge of tears constantly. And I remember going to work, sitting at my desk and just being like, I hope no one can see me. Like my eyes were watering and welling up and stuff. And it was one of those days where you're like, I really need to take a sick day. Yeah. But I'm not physically wrong. Like there's nothing physically wrong. I just feel like shit. Like, but you imagine saying to someone, oh, I just don't feel
like shit.
Yeah, I feel like crap today. And they'd be like, sorry, what?
We have duvet days.
Yeah.
Like,
but wouldn't it be great if it was just part of sick day?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know what it's like in Australia with medical certificates. I mean, here it's always been a thing, right? You've always needed one.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. And I think, I wonder if because women, we go through so many hormonal changes within a month.
Yeah.
If we're more, we should actually ask our resident doctor this.
Yeah.
If we're more susceptible to those kind of days.
Of course we are.
You know, like, because I think about that particular time of the month when you're just emotionally active.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Well, actually we have, it's funny at work. So we have got a period policy where you can take women can have extra days based on if, you know, terrible cramps and stuff. But I don't think it extends necessarily to like the effects of the emotions. If someone took it, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, yeah, great, do it, whatever you need to do. But yeah, it's not really something I think that people talk about. And that's, you know, mentally men and women, not just for women because of periods. But I really wish there was more of an acceptance around the idea of therapy and talking to people, particularly from a male point of view as well.
I remember once someone once moved back to Australia and they said one of the best things they did was they had a couples therapy session to align on how they were going to navigate life when they moved back home. Because there are huge changes, right? There's the financial changes of paying more tax. There's the, not having the help we have in the home currently, or at least the affordable help in the home. And so they went to go to the session just to understand, like, what are your kind of mutual things you want to achieve. And anyway, I remember saying, like, that's such an awesome thing. And I said that to Will, and I was like, I really feel like that's something like we should really think about whenever it's time to move home. And he was like, why are we doing that? Like, we don't have a problem. We're not falling apart. And I was like, no, I didn't. That's not what I'm saying. But I think, as I said, I think there's just this association that therapy means there's something broken.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, the one thing I learned from this woman in Singapore was that, like, it's actually learning how to better your ability to communicate.
Yeah.
I don't think they get that.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that just wishes it was really readily available, or maybe it's something that we're exposed to younger so that we're not afraid of it. Because I reckon if any man went and kind of just spoke about how they feel, I reckon they'd get a lot out of it.
Yeah,
but just getting them through that door, I think, would be really challenging.
I completely agree. And I think to your point around it helps you better communicate. It also helps you build resilience. So when you are in a positive frame of mind, you can see more clearly and take in more, I think, so that when you are going through a bad phase, you can apply those skills that you would have learnt when you were in the positive mindset. Yeah. And I think that's such a key thing for me. And what I've found from it is just how much it has built my I don't want to say resilience maybe, but like coping mechanisms. So I have like a bank of tools to draw from when I'm like, okay, I'm in this moment. Okay, I've got 5 things I can do right now. Which one's going to be best for me? But it's only because I went to see her during those good times, built up that bank, that then I know what to draw on and where to draw from. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And imagine if we all had that, it would be pretty incredible. Or if we all had better ways of communicating, we don't just wait until there's a communication breakdown, but we proactively address it. I think it'd be amazing.
Do you think, why do you think people don't go?
I think there's probably a few things. One, perception of just to your point, therapy, like something is wrong if you're going to a therapist. I also think there's almost the other side, which is like, I don't know, do people see it as a bit obnoxious or like, you know, like there's that joke in New York and Sex and the City, like everyone's got a therapist, Carrie.
Yeah. That's why I asked if you had more, because I was thinking about that episode. When he has someone who coddles him, someone who wants to be yelled at. Stan. Yeah. No, what's his Stanford? Yeah, Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford talks about that. Yeah. Dr. G. God, I love that episode actually.
Bon you know Jovi. What? I don't.
Oh, I love it.
No, I really don't. I
Why?
don't. Because I find Carrie really annoying in that episode.
She's very...
When she like talks that big and they're like, we can't handle it.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just, it's weird. It's really weird. It feels really inappropriate that she like tries to intentionally hook up with a guy from her therapist.
Yeah, but it's...
And Mrs. G is also rude. He's
so cute.
You know what? I always skip that episode.
Do you? I always watch that one. When she goes, so tell me, why are you in therapy? And he goes, I lose interest after I sleep with the woman. And she's just slept with him. And she like rolls over and she's like, oh.
I pick bad men.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
No, I always skip over that one and go to Shortcomings.
Shortcomings.
With the guy that, early.
Oh, yeah.
Just because she looks fab in that episode.
Justin Theroux's episode.
He's also another one. Anyway, we digress.
We will have an episode about Sex and the City one day.
So, yes, you think that people, it might be seen as an indulgent.
Indulgent maybe, or like a bit, maybe. Yeah. I certainly wouldn't say it like that, but I do think that there is a perception there. I also just think people see the cost of it as like prohibitive. But I would still challenge and go, well, we spend that amount on going out for dinner or going to the gym or going to whatever classes, tennis, whatever it might be. And we don't place the same level of emphasis and importance on our mental health as our physical health or physical fitness.
I think the other one you've missed is, which I feel pretty sure is how some people feel, is sometimes you don't want to hear what they have to say.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes you just like, I know that there's a problem, but I don't need to hear it.
That's so true.
And I think can be a hard one to then change because, like I think, for example, like when I saw that lady and I didn't go back because I was like, I don't want to hear, I know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel how I'm feeling.
So true.
And you kind of relay that back to me. And so then I stopped going. And maybe that's, again, goes back to like, you've got to find the right therapist for you, because then rather than trying to better myself, I just stopped.
Do you feel like you didn't want to hear the truth, even though you maybe knew? Like, is it too hard to face reality sometimes, or to have it put back? Like if their role is to be like the mirror, do you feel like sometimes it's too hard to hear it?
So I think for some people it would be. I think for some people it's again, I think what I love about therapy is it's getting to the root cause. I think sometimes people don't want to know what the root cause is. I think they just want to deal with the repercussions of their actions maybe, and not the deep down seated thing that it actually comes from. For me, it was also, I didn't find it helpful. I just found I think, speaking within my own echo chamber.
Oh, interesting.
Again, it goes back to like, if I want to vent, I'll talk to my friends or my family and they'll just hear me out. But if I want to change or I want action, I don't need somebody who's just going to, it's weird. I actually don't need the validation of my feelings. I know my feelings are real. I need somebody to either reframe them or help me grow from it or pivot from it. So, but I do think there are instances where people just, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They're afraid of what the reality is.
I suspect that would be true for a lot of people.
Which I totally get.
Yeah.
I have to say, the thing about when I saw the therapist when I was younger, the realization that I was disappointing my dad was really hard to hear, because it meant I had to confront that and do something to not disappoint him. And of course, my dad listens to this. Of course, he did absolutely nothing at all to indicate that was how he felt or any pressures or anything like that. But I think it's just, how he made me feel. And so then, but then it was so powerful because then when I knew that, I was like, right, what's going to make me feel better? What's going to make me feel better is doing something that makes me feel proud of my actions, because then he'll feel proud of it. So then, again, reframing.
It's funny you also say that. I find sometimes saying things out loud makes it to be true. So I can think something and it's like I almost need to, it's like a coping mechanism to keep it in my head, because if I say it out loud, I find it scary or like confronting. And I think that might be another barrier, is like as soon as you, it's fine if you're dealing with it in yourself, but as soon as you talk to someone about it, you've made it official or like you've, you know, and you have to confront it at a whole nother level. It's like if you've, I don't know. I think maybe that there's something there as well.
No one likes confrontation.
No.
I think that's what you, the way you framed it was exactly that. You have to confront the thing you probably are
it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's probably, like there are definitely times where I have felt uncomfortable, not because of anything they have done, but more so the questions they're asking, where you're like, oh, you're starting to hit a nerve and it's scaring me a little bit, or it's making me feel uncomfortable, which is usually when you know there's going to be a breakthrough or something, because it is making you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm so excited to talk to her tomorrow, or in the next episode.
It'll be out tomorrow, but it'll be more next week.
Just because I think she will give our listeners a lot of really interesting tips and pragmatic things, and also a bit of insight into like full-time women, like what are the things that are on our minds. What, you know, I hypothesize things like anxiety and dealing with the full-time load and, you know, career pivots.
I want to know, this is probably just me milking her for a free session, but just like, how do you do it all? Like what, I think that's the thing. I sat this morning thinking like, how do I do it all? And the answer I know is don't do it all.
Yeah.
Right. But like, when there are things that are time, I think the thing for me is right now it's time sensitive. Everything I'm doing actually has to happen in the next week or two. It's not like it's lots of things on and I don't know when to do them. It's literally because I feel like I'm in this time crunch. So I want to know from her, what do I do?
Yeah. And I don't know whether she'll have an answer to that.
I don't think she will, but that's okay.
But I almost wonder that those are the times why therapy is so important, because it can help you build your resilience. So when you do hit times like that, you're like, okay, this is going to be insane for the next couple of weeks, and I've got my tools in my back pocket to help me get through it. And I will get through it, but like you can't change unless you drop one thing, right?
Yeah.
But you can't drop your job, you can't drop your kids, you can't drop the house. Like those things are going to happen no matter what. So how do you just better deal with the situation? And I think those are the things that she can help you with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is like I'm probably getting more aware of the situation is the situation. It's just then how do you better reframe and deal with these things?
You really are. You have really reframed your approach to life massively in the last 6 months.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why do you, how so?
You're very calm.
Oh,
and like you're very...
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very... You seem quite pragmatic, and you've always been pragmatic, but like more so you're less emotionally charged about the things that are happening.
Interesting.
And I wonder if that's just because last year was, I mean, not to say that this year's less worse, but I mean, last year was like real grim. Some things, you know, this year feel a little bit better. So maybe it's also just that, you know, some things feel less grim, but I don't know. I think back to when we first started the podcast.
Yeah.
I think you've massively had a transformation.
Maybe it's the podcast. Maybe it's talking.
Maybe it's, maybe.
I don't know. But I do feel like as I am getting older, and I've joked about this a bit on the episodes, like as I'm getting older, I do feel like I'm getting more pragmatic and maybe accepting of like myself, my faults, what, you know, like this is the situation, this is life. Now how do I best deal with it? And getting stronger through that level of acceptance.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe because you live in the now. I feel like I'm constantly living in the future.
Oh, interesting. I say interesting too much. I've just picked up on that.
That's fine. It is an interesting point. Do you know what I mean? Like what you're saying makes me feel like you're being very present, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't, not that I'm catastrophizing, but everything I'm thinking of is all about like a little bit of the future me.
So if I can give one thing that has really helped with this, I have been working, I won't talk about who and all that kind of thing, but working with a charity for quite a while now, and placing the emphasis or doing something that places the emphasis on other people and a cause that I value or whatever it might be, not on my own life and my family's life and my present life, has really helped. Like, because it gives you a level of gratitude of what you do have, and it also shows you like just this bigger, wider world of what is, how small your life is or how small your problems are compared to what others are facing. And I feel like that has given me a whole nother level of like perspective.
I love that, but I also don't love that because you're asking me to add another thing.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, what? I don't have time for
go work
any
for a charity as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? I made a joke to my my cousin yesterday, Andrew's cousin, who I've adopted as my cousin. Of she's just finished a book, Ash London, and she.
Oh, I love Ash.
She's awesome.
About her before.
Yeah, she's awesome. Anyway, she's just finished a book, and we were joking about how we just have too many things on, and I was like, yeah, it's like you sit down for 5 minutes, you're like, hey, I have 5 minutes free. I should have had something more to my life. And for her, it was the same. She's like, I've got 5 minutes free. I'm going to start writing a book. And for me, it was like, I've got 5 minutes free. I'm going to start working with this charity, which has now like become, at 11 p.m. at night. I do the podcast and then I close that part of my job, day job, and then I get onto the charity work. And it's awesome because it's really fulfilling. But I do think that has been one thing that's helped reframe a lot for me, a lot. Just thinking about others instead of myself has given me a lot of perspective. And they always say, like, if you want to, I can't remember like what the actual quote is, but like if you want to feel better about your life, like, or you want to feel good, like the best source of that is charity work, because you're doing something for someone else.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
No, that sounds awful. I should definitely do something. Yeah.
It's just finding the time.
Maybe after the move.
Yeah.
Maybe after all the things
when
that
is
are
the
currently
move?
sitting.
When is the move?
This Friday.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you taking Friday off? Or
No.
Oh god.
No. I've got like my son's Chinese New Year cute little concert thing, which
Yeah.
I'm actually super excited about. He's so excited.
Oh.
He's asked me every single morning, are you coming to my school for the concert today?
Oh, cute.
And I was like, not today, not until Friday. And he's like, okay. And Mia's coming and we've got little outfits and it's going to be really cute. So Will's going to deal with the house move and I will do that and obviously do work. But yeah, once that's done, moving house sucks.
It does. It really does. It's horrible.
And you
horrible.
realise you just got like crap everywhere.
You're like, I don't need half of this stuff.
And
if I left it behind, I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah. I've kept the most ridiculous things.
Yeah.
I've kept some of Johnny's cute stuff from school, but then I've realised I've kept like everything he's ever painted.
So have you done like a purge?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yeah, it felt really good actually.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you told Will about the thing that I told
the
you
leaving
about?
things behind?
Yeah.
I haven't yet actually.
Yeah. So
I should do that.
What's your, like, if you move this Friday, when do you go into the new place? On Friday?
No, it's all Friday.
And then when do you get out of the old, like when do you hand
We have
over?
a week.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a handover.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I hope it goes well.
Thanks.
I think this week for you is just going to be madness and you just have to brace yourself.
It's fine. Yeah. It's going to ride through it.
You're strong. You'll get through it.
Thank you.
You can have a breakdown next week.
You know what? I would like to have no breakdowns. But it's okay. I think I just need to, I think you said this a bit earlier, I just need to like reframe it and be like, there's nothing I can change. Just get really focused.
Yeah.
Schedule my time, know what I'm doing, know where I need to be.
Yeah.
And not just sit in the overwhelming feeling, which is exactly what I was doing this morning. I just felt like I was sitting in it.
Yeah.
I just was super reactive.
Yeah.
So I won't do that.
You're strong.
Yeah.
You've got this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this was a really nice episode as a precursor to talking to Beta about life coaching, therapy, and everything else in between.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm really excited, actually, especially to ask, really, is there a difference? If there is a difference, what is the difference?
Yeah.
And what are the main things that she finds full-timers come to her for?
Yeah. I'm excited to get some pragmatic tips from her. As you say, like...
Be more pragmatic, Beck.
Be more pragmatic. Don't be so emotional. No, but also, hopefully our listeners can get some really good tips from her as well.
Agree.
Awesome. Well, This is the Full Timers Club. I'm Beck.
I'm Ellie.
And we'll see you next time.